This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Okay, patuloy pa po itong labanan dito sa issue ng Bangsamoro Basic Law, and they've been throwing everything in the kitchen sink and everything else, no? Ang latest na gimmick nila, nagpadala dito ng mga cartoonist na 4-piece daw, mga cartoons 4-piece, ano? At binigyan ng award ni Deles, ano? Tapos itong si Ferrer, Coronel-Ferrer at si Iqbal ba? Binigyan naman ng award ni Hillary Clinton. Ano? Kaya pa ba nilang goyohin ang taong bayan? Can they still fool the people? But the worst part is this Peace Council. Ano? Paniwala nila, marangal pa sa tingin ng tao itong mga Davide, Cardinal Tagle, unfortunately, then Jaza, Jaime Augusto Zobel de Ayala, and kung si Howard D., biyanan ni Noynoy, in-law, and so on. They've really tried to put everything in to make the people accept the BBL. But that's not going to happen because palagi ko malinaw na kung hihiwalay nila ang bahagi ng Mindanao, that is very clear to the people that it is treason. And we have our guest, the one who led the filing of the case for treason against President Aquino and his entourage in this peace caravan of theirs. No? And we'll get the latest update from Assemblyman and former Governor Adaza because there has been a response and a motion from Bono again. So go ahead, let's get background again and update.
You know, Mintong, the strange thing about this, the Ombudsman is not known for acting expeditiously on cases. Yeah. As a matter of fact, there have been cases which are undecided for a year or more. But in this case of treason, which you and I filed before the Ombudsman, you know, we filed it on March 4, and they had a decision on March 11, meaning it took them only 7 days to dismiss the accusation of treason. So we filed the motion for reconsideration within the reglementary period of 15 days. We filed it on April 29, and today is April 8. We have not yet received any order of denial or granting the motion for reconsideration from the Ombudsman because we gave it to them also. First, they don't even know the definition of war. They are thinking of war in 1945. They belong to the past. They are not the people of the present. Because war now, there are wars of national liberation. There are wars against terror. There is war against the insurgent. As a matter of fact, the mere fact that they say that there is a peace process, it means that there is a war in Mindanao between the MILF and the government. And as a matter of fact, in the language of Pinoy, BBL will end the war in Mindanao. Even they themselves admit that there is a war going on. Okay. Now, they are saying that Pinoy cannot be investigated. No, they have not cited any provision of the Constitution, but as a doctrine, the President cannot be
sued.
They cannot be sued, meaning no case can be filed against him in court. But it does not mean that he cannot be investigated because the Constitution itself does not provide an exception insofar as the Ombudsman is concerned. Specific is that any public official, no exception. Well, Pinoy is a public official. unless we say that he was never elected, because until now, the Supreme Court has not decided the case we filed in 2010, disputing his election to the presidency. They have to say that he was not elected in order that he cannot be investigated by the Ombudsman. But since they claim that Pinoy is president, from our point of view, sitting president, he's sitting there. It does not mean that we recognize that he's been the legally elected president of the country, because they have violated the election law in so many provisions in the election of 2010. In effect, we are saying that nobody was elected, de jure, legally elected in 2010, if at all they are only de facto officials. That's why maybe next week we'll file a motion with the Supreme Court that they have to decide it now. Unlike the corona, because for fear of constitutional crisis, it was decided when the case became moot and academic. But this is a case of transcendental importance. So, in the case of treason, simple lang ang definition eh. Any citizen who leaves war against the Republic of the Philippines, meaning armed hostilities, that's what war means, commits treason, or adhering to its enemies, giving aid or comfort. What are they doing?
Well, the contention that I've heard on the other side is that there is no declaration of war anywhere.
That's an antediluvian concept.
Yeah, it's an
there
old concept.
There need no be declaration of war for anyone to be accused of treason. So what crime has these people committed? They have betrayed the country. The trouble with these countries, there are many traitors who have become heroes.
Well, that seems to be a tradition from the time of the Katipuneros.
Yeah.
The Ilustrados who mingled with the Katipuneros, they were also traitorous down to the American period, where you had traitors collaborate with them and became the leaders of the land, while those who fought the Americans were executed, hung, and so on.
It seems to me that treason is also inherited in this country. And
yeah, like the collaborators in the Japanese puppet government.
Correct.
They have grandchildren now who
are occupying high
offices.
That's precisely the reason why you and I filed this case with the Ombudsman, in order to define very clearly what treason means, so that the people will know who are the traitors in this country and who are the patriots. The main problem is the patriots are becoming traitors and the traitors are becoming patriots. The claim to being patriots is the refuge of scoundrels. These scoundrels who are traitors are claiming that they are patriots. Patriots for what? For betraying the country?
For selling out the country, for trying to separate certain portions of the country, for immobilizing, paralyzing our police and military against those who take up arms against the Republic. Yun ang ginagawa nila.
Giving the money, as a matter of fact, so that these people can buy weapons to kill police, civilians, and military. That's what happened with Mama Sapano.
Well, for example, as a lawyer, I got feedback about this by text. Now, kiniklaim ng MILF, they did a country a service by killing daw Basit Usman. And parang ito ang kanilang offering para maamo ang bayan about this Bangsamoro Basic Law. Ang mga text naman sa akin, that goes to prove the MILF does not follow any law of the land. They just killed Usman. Why not arrest him and present him to the government?
Lies, lies, lies. Lies from the government, lies from the MILF, lies everywhere. To be able to define the issues very well and give answers to questions, you have to read between the lies of these people.
Not read between the lines.
Read between the lies. As a matter of fact, I'm planning to do a book. I'm beginning now.
This is going to be your 9th book. How many do you have now?
This is my 8th book in 4.5 years.
I asked you to bring the 7th book, but we'll just introduce it in the next...
It's not been launched yet.
Not yet launched. Okay.
You will be invited, of course, because... not everybody will be invited, because we cannot afford a launching that is bongga. But you and several other friends will be invited.
Of course, the audience will invite them
on
the show.
If they come, it's all right. It's all right. No problems. No problem.
But let's go to this Peace Council. What you heard Davide says, no, it is constitutional, pero
No.
wishy-washy. Then he says, do you still have to refine it? Ano
We
ba
will
talaga?
include Davide, we're studying the possibility of including Davide in a supplemental complaint for treason, including the Peace Council. Because, many of these cases are conducting treasonous behavior, not only with respect to BBL, but also in many other things that they do. No, they do, so that people will know who are really the traitors in this country, who are betraying the people of this country. And we know these are familiar faces.
There are other, the two Jesuits, the Joel Tabora, President of Ateneo de Davao, Archie Intengan. I personally can attest this guy has been pushing in behalf of the European Union and all these interests of the Western powers to push the BBL.
These people should take into consideration that this is a country that belongs to Filipinos. This is our country. We should be the kings in this country. And any foreigner who tries to control the lives of Filipinos and the lives of this country have no business being here.
Bono, I will digress a little, still on the same matter of treason, but in the economic sphere. No? Itong globalization has put us in a situation where our issues on water, yung tubig natin, yung pagtaas ng singal ng MWSA, ng Manila Water and Maynilad, was brought to an international body for adjudication or arbitration, whatever they call it. Hindi ba treason yun? Our resources, the welfare of our people, pero foreign body ang magdidesisyon. That is treason, di
In
ba?
a generic sense, that's treason.
No. Of course, it's not war, but...
It may not be defined under Article 114, but there is a generic meaning of treason. Any behavior that betrays the interest of the country and the people is treasonous.
And I think it's more telling that this is an abdication of sovereignty when you give decisions about this country to a foreign body.
I agree with you. As a matter of fact, I was about to issue a statement when the Secretary General of the OIC came here, stood with Pinoy, front pages of the newspaper saying that he's not intervening, but on the one hand also says that the BBL needs to be approved. Maybe we should include this guy also
But
in our case.
Treason is only for our citizens.
No. Under paragraph 3 of Article 114, even if you are a foreigner, if you adhere to the enemy or gives aid or comfort to the enemy, that is an act of treason. We should include this guy, I think. No?
Now,
with your approval.
The penalty for treason here is hindi na firing squad, no?
No, hindi na.
Hindi na firing
Reclusion perpetua only. Meaning, they will spend their time in
prison.
in prison.
Life imprisonment.
Yes, in Muntinlupa, in...
Pero ngayon,
in the penal code.
They spend their life in Malacanang and in the high places of government.
That's the main problem. The main problem is the traitors in this country are the ones calling us names. They're calling us names. But a time will come when the people with the correct leadership will define treason very well and put these guys in jail. Because that's an insult to the Filipino intelligence.
But can that be achieved through the normal electoral process?
No. Forget the normal electoral process. Because elections from 1949, the birds and the bees voted in the 1949 elections in Mindanao and many other places. Mindanao has always given problems in so far the electoral process is concerned. Garci tape. Also taking place in Mindanao. Hocus Picos, also in Mindanao and many other places. Elections, forget it.
Historically speaking, can we say that the anti-colonial war waged by the Katipunan has never really ended? Is that legally, historically tenable position?
It's a historically tenable position. But there may be disputes there
About
on the
the
legal
legal,
level. But historically, yes. As a matter of fact, even in the choice of heroes in this country, the Americans choose their own hero, and the Filipinos also adopt having colonial mentality, the choice of the Americans. What about the choice of the Filipinos? As a matter of fact, I got into trouble when I was editor-in-chief of the Philippine Collegiate at the University of the Philippines by saying that Andres Bonifacio, Andy, should be the #1 hero of this country. He fought for this country, despite limitations. He was not Ilustrado. He belonged to the people. But he trained himself, sharpened his intelligence, and did whatever was to be done in the interest of the Filipino people. We should redefine our heroes in this country. Imagine some of the new heroes in this country. They really are insult to the Filipino intelligence.
So now your next move is our next move.
Yes.
I take my cue from you. Is to file a motion for reconsideration.
No, we filed it already. We
filed
will file a supplemental
to add-
complaint
to
to
add
add Davide and the others,
Ah.
as well as this Secretary General of the OIC.
OIC,
They have no business intervening in the domestic affairs of this country. The main problem with our leaders is when, because of their incompetence and ignorance, they cannot solve our problems, they have to go to foreign countries and seek aid and comfort from them. That's treasonous behavior in the generic sense. Treasonous
Well,
behavior.
there is talk in the newspapers coming out now that the lower house may approve the BBL by June. The
We will
deadline.
also include them.
If they move,
If
make
they
that
move and approve it, those people who vote for the approval of the BBL, we will include them also in our charges for treason. Since this administration has only until June
of next year.
Of next year, 2016.
And your kababayan, Rufus Rodriguez, will be part of the
Of
new
course.
charges.
You know, the question of loyalty to the country, as Quezon says, the loyalty to your party ends where your loyalty to the country begins. Friendship also cannot be a bar to prosecution. Because why should we allow our friends to betray the country? You mean to say we'll give preference to our friendship instead of the country and our people?
Their
No,
argument
no, no.
is that they will be refining it. Is that possible?
There is no way that can be refined. In the first place, the FAB, the CAB...
Can you elaborate, Fab? What is that?
This is
any CAB
this
first.
the-
Comprehensive agreement.
no, the CAB is comprehensive agreement.
The framework. The
Framework
other one.
agreement,
Ah,
FAB.
okay.
No, the framework agreement. We are planning also to file the corresponding cases with the Supreme Court questioning the constitutionality of the FAB and the CAB. No? Probably in the next 2 weeks, because we have to do extensive studies on this. But the moment they approve the BBL in the lower house.
Di lahat yan. If they approve
No, but not
all those who
everybody.
voted
No, not
for
every-
it.
Those who voted for it, we should include them in the supplemental complaint. Those also will vote for it in the Senate. If it passes through the Senate, we also will include them in the supplemental
Well, if
complaint.
assuming the Senate passes it, so is it already law? The President will sign
Sign
it
it,
into law?
it has to go to the Supreme Court.
It can be
The
brought to
final
the Supreme Court.
issue
Yeah.
will be Section 1 of Article 8 of the Constitution. Every action of any agency of government is subject to question before the Supreme Court. I hope the Supreme Court does not commit a mistake. But if they declare the MUAD unconstitutional, it's almost obvious.
That this has to be the...
This has to be declared
Yeah, yeah.
unconstitutional. Unless they want to be party also to the complaint for
you
treason.
want to include the 12, 14,
No,
15
whoever votes,
justices.
whoever votes only.
For it,
But I believe in the Supreme Court that they will not approve.
Because it's too glaring.
Too glaring.
Too glaring.
It insults intelligence. And there are people there who come from the best law schools in the country. As a matter of fact, the Chief Justice comes from the Supreme Court, comes from the University of the Philippines. And if what I know of UP, because I finished there, she will do what needs to be done.
I think the majority in the Supreme Court are from the University of the Philippines.
I suppose so. In the old times, not only the majority, everybody came from the UP College of Law.
So you
But
feel
times have changed.
this legal wrestling that we continue to wage, do you think it is really teaching the nation the meaning of patriotism, nationalism, nationhood?
It is GNN, GNN. With respect to mainstream media, they are part of the conspiracy. They are not discussing this. It's only in GNN where we can discuss this freely, because that's the role of the fourth estate. As a matter of fact, in the words of the editor-in-chief of the New York Times, no, Harrison Salisbury, in his book, Heroes of Our Time, he said, any member of media who cannot tell the truth has no business being in media, because the role of media is to tell the truth. Any writer that does not tell the truth should be in accounting.
But if they give us a fait accompli that, nandito na, in-approve na, pinirmahan ni
Pinoy.
Presidente Pinoy, then it's already a fait accompli, it's a law.
No, it's not really fait accompli yet. Because
If you bring it to the Supreme Court, anong status nun? It is
it's not yet
suspended?
a law, because as a matter of fact, it has yet to be approved in a plebiscite.
Okay,
There's
okay.
still a plebiscite.
So, marami pa
I
tayong
hope it is-
depensa. Marami
I hope
pa
it's a plebiscite, not a plebiscite. Because when the arm was submitted for approval,
Maybe
it
that
was
is why the COMELEC, may bago silang nilagay doon na pamangkin ni
you know.
Iqbal.
The brother, the father of Signay, Basil, is the
Brother
brother
of Iqbal.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Paano yan? Hindi,
the
ano
nephew.
sa batas yan? Would that be a conflict of interest there, or it's too far, the relation?
Not nephew ito. Conflict of interest, but it's not prohibited by law because he's not the president. The one who appoints him is the president. There's so many conflict of interest here because even the other one is recommended by Rojas.
Si Gonzalo.
Ilongga.
Si
Ilongga recommended by an Ilonggo who are in the same party, I think.
okay.
The main problem with this
He used to
country...
be a mayor of a small town in,
Yeah, I know.
in Panay, no?
San Carlos
San Carlos.
City.
Oh.
She's quite an intelligent woman.
Quite an intelligent lady.
Woman,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. And then, of course, Bautista comes from PCGG, the haven for all the yellow lawyers.
Not only that,
you know?
he also Dean of the College of Law
of
FEU.
FEU.
The FEU.
And,
You know,
FEU is owned by, is related to Cory Aquino, the owner.
in a sense, yes. Related. Because the sister of Cory Aquino has deep relations.
By the way, in the
with
second
FEU.
part of our discussion in this episode, we'll be talking about the Smartmatic situation and why COMELEC insists on buying again 100,000 machines from Smartmatic and so on. So stick around later on.
Yes, maybe
we have Toti Casino
we
to
should
join
sell
us.
also the COMELEC together with Smartmatic to a foreign country because it's the best solution to the problem. You know,
We export the
we'll export the guys,
Comelection.
including Brillantes, who was already retired.
Okay, so let's go back to this treason case. How long do you think this will go on? So long as these people are in power.
So long as these people are in power. But, you know, the other evening, I was guesting in a television show. No?
Yeah.
And before the television show, this is on Balikatan. I was talking with a general and a major. And I gave them the general outlines of the provisions of the Constitution. And I asked them, you know, this Katapang keeps on saying that it's easy to handle it's easy to handle and decimate the Abu Sayyaf, the BIFF. If that's the case, why can't decimate the MILF? Why do they have to obey an order which is obviously idiotic? Imagine the basic rationale behind BBL and the FAB and the CAB is that when BBL will be approved, it becomes a law, there will be peace in Mindanao. Isn't that stupid?
Well, anyway, last 30 seconds, Bono, wrap up and what should the people know about the case that you are pursuing?
Yeah. Treason. That's the case we are pursuing. We'll continue to inform the people what the meaning of treason. And we have defined the meaning of treason. Anyone who betrays the country is a traitor. Is a traitor. And we hope that the people, through you and us, will be able to see through all these things and rid themselves of colonial mentality.
Okay, maraming salamat, Bono, and
Thank you also.
more power to your struggle, our struggle, the nation's struggle against these traitors in high places. Mabuhay, but stick around and let's see how we can defeat these traitors through elections. One last hope. Okay, let's take this break.